Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're talking about planetary energy. That's right. Today we're talking about Saturn in retrograde. And Saturn goes into retrograde at least once a year and stays in full retrograde for about 4 months or so. So let's talk about Saturn in retrograde for 2022. So first off, Saturn is in retrograde the whole time in the sign of Aquarius. So we're going to explain all of that, and I'm going to give you some dates and some other information. So let's go with some great dates to know. So February 26, 2022, Saturn went into pre-shadow energy for the retrograde. It will be in full retrograde from June 4th through October 22nd, and then it will go into a post-shadow energy from October 22nd to January 26, 2023. So it's going to be in there quite a while. And Saturn is a planet that really governs structure and discipline. So you're going to see this very strong energy, this very workable energy, but it's going to be upgrading our structure. Kind of like, how do you schedule things, and how do you put things into work, and how do you work your family around your business, or your business around your family? All of those things are kind of up into play right now. And it doesn't necessarily mean a bad way. It just means it's the way it is. So it's going to kind of bring a lot of energy to play, and kind of restructuring things, and kind of reevaluating how you structure your life, and how you structure your family, and how you schedule things. So all of that is kind of up into play. Let's talk about Saturn in retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. It's going to really be urging us to kind of make some karmic choices, some really strong, like, we're now making some big changes in our lives. And this is going to affect a lot of people. If you're working, it's one of those, it's going to affect your career at some point. It's going to affect how you do your life over the next several years. This is going to be a really powerful one for most of us. And it's one of those, during this time, we're going to be kind of like, really kind of reevaluating our commitments. How do we commit to our family, and what is the time that we have committed for them, and how do we kind of structure this time between the two of them? And then kind of like, how do we negotiate with other people that want part of our time? There may be a lot of people that are kind of stepping away from business or careers for a period of time, and then there'll be other people that are kind of like just stepping into that. Like, now I've had this commit with my family to stay at home, and now I'm going back into work. So you're going to see a lot of these changes over the next couple of years, but it's really starting this year, and kind of really starting as Saturn went into pre-retrograde energy kind of in February. So this is kind of some changes that are going on. So it's really kind of a great time to kind of think about, what is the future? What do you want to bring into your family? How do you want to bring this in? And what is the energy that kind of keeps us going? And kind of, this is going to kind of really be a great time, because now families are getting back together and kind of pushing that energy together. But one of the issues is, and I've seen this with a few of my clients, is now their older family members have passed, or they're getting older and they're not able to hold that structure together. And so the kind of the baton may be passed to another generation or someone else. So it's going to be kind of like this energy of like, how are they going to structure all the family events? How are they going to do it? Are they going to do it like everybody else has done it in the past, or are they going to restructure it? And I guarantee you there's going to be some restructuring there. This isn't a horrible time it's kind of not a horrible time to kind of decide how you want to invest your energy and your time, but it's all about that structure of your calendar. I keep getting that word calendar coming back up. So how are you structuring your calendar with your family, with your business, with your career? How is this going to balance out? And I've actually seen a couple of people kind of going, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to restructure this completely different. That's what I'm talking about. There are going to be people that are going, I'm stepping out of the work zone. I'm not doing this anymore. And here we go. So that'll be kind of an interesting way how that affects people. And some of the people that I'm talking about are people that have been in business for many, many years. People that are in their 70s and 80s and are going like, I've kind of done my thing. I've kind of shown what I wanted to do and restructuring that. But I've also seen this with younger people as well. So kind of like, I'm ready to step out of business completely. Really great relationships are going to thrive during this time frame. Also during Saturn in retrograde, we're going to have Mercury going to retrograde and in and out a couple of times. So this is going to be kind of like pushing that, like now we're going to have to really force this communication of stepping up and kind of making more commitments and really verbalizing it. Kind of like now we need to really get this down on paper. We need to verbalize it. This is what our new commitment is. I would say one of the things I also get is kind of like, people that haven't been wanting to work or kind of are going to be like, oh, now I'm ready to start back in the workforce, or now I'm ready to move forward. So this is kind of some benefit, and kind of people that have been kind of slacking off or that sort of thing are kind of like, now it's like, hey, now I need to kick it into gear and I've got to make some money. So people that have kind of put that career on hold for a while are now coming back into the workforce. This is going to kind of urge all of us to kind of step up and take the reins at some point, kind of being the boss, or kind of like moving up into management or moving up higher into management. So you're going to see a lot of people like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Where before they were kind of thinking, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. Now they're ready, and it's going to make some big changes. One of the things is kind of a lot of people are going to be kind of positioning themselves into new careers. A lot of people that have not been, like career minded are going to get really career minded and kind of like, I want to move up. I want to move into this career. I want to change some things. So let me give you some dates of some information that's going to be really helpful. So these are kind of really some key aspects that are going to be affecting us as Saturn is in retrograde. So June 16, our Sun and Saturn in retrograde harmonize as a trine, making us kind of like push into that more boss energy, or kind of like that bossier energy, or kind of like ready to go into management. So that's going to be that first sign of like, boom, we've got to get going in this. Next, on June 18th, we have Venus in the sign of Taurus, forms a square with Saturn in retrograde. And this is going to make us like rethink, reevaluate, kind of like, how do I want to make this work? How do I want to make this go in? And this is all going to be affecting our money. This is all about financial decisions and what are we going to do and how are we going to change how we're communicating or dealing with our money. Next, on June 27th, we have Mars and Saturn in retrograde share a sextile today. And so this is going to be kind of like adding that authority and that power into our actions. Mars is all about action and moving into it. And then Saturn, of course, is the structure and the discipline. So this is going to be kind of like, here we go. We're ready to kind of move in this energy a little bit differently. Next, on July 2nd, we have Mercury in the sign of Gemini, forms a trine with Saturn in retrograde. And this is kind of creating a superstructure in the way we kind of express ourselves, kind of how do we want to do this, and kind of making new decisions and new choices for our lives. So this is, and this could also end up making some new choices for your family as well. Next, let's talk about July 31st. We have Mercury in the sign of Leo, forms an opposition to kind of Saturn in retrograde. And this is going to be limiting our communications. I guarantee you people are going to have cell phone issues. They're going to have email things that they didn't want to email. They all of a sudden they go out, or things that you're working on and all of a sudden they get emailed and you're like, oh my gosh, where did it go? And oh my gosh, it's got sent to the wrong person. So this is going to cause a lot of issue and strife coming up. Next, we have August 14th. We have the Sun in Leo, which is going to be very ego-driven. Our Sun in the sign of Leo, oh my gosh, ego, there we go, forms an opposition with Saturn in retrograde. And this is going to make us feel less secure in ourselves and less confident, and kind of how are we going to deal with this part. The ego part is going to be up there, so a lot of people aren't going to like, I don't want to talk about it, but the ego part is going to be there, and it's going to be amplified at this point. Let's see, October 11th, we have our Sun in Leo, forms a positive trine with Saturn in retrograde. And this is all about adding power to our lives, kind of adding that power to our structures, adding power to kind of like how we do the discipline and how we discipline ourselves. And this doesn't mean disciplining someone else. I mean, disciplining ourselves of like, do we want to work out today? Or do we want to go for a walk? Or do we want to do this? How are we going to discipline ourselves and kind of get our structure in ourselves? The last one is on October 13th, we have Venus in the sign of Libra forms a trine with Saturn, bringing us closer to like our commitments. What do we want to make commitments to? What are we promising ourselves that we're going to change or modify, or how are we going to do this? This is going to be a great sign for a lot of people of kind of like, I want to make new commitments. I want to be able to communicate easier. I want to be able to deal with this a little bit easier. And this is kind of that sign of like, how do we do this and how do we make this all work? So let's pull some angel cards and get us a little bit more information about Saturn in retrograde in 2022. Our first card is soulmates. This is going to change how you communicate with your soulmate. Not a bad thing, but it's one of those, it's going to be upgrading it and changing and modifying. Retrograde cycles are us to kind of like realize where we've had issues or where we really need to beef up that structure and that discipline for ourselves. And it's going to bring it to a whole new level. Playfulness. This is going to be a great time for us to kind of put playful time on our calendar. Where do we want to go? How do we want to spend our time? And like I said, there's some people that are kind of like, I've been in the workforce and now I'm letting it go. And that's going to be more playtime. And then people that have been on, you know, either having babies or going to school or whatever else, now entering the workforce. And so it's kind of like, how are they going to keep their playtime available? And how are they going to make changes to all of this? This is going to be a great time to make those changes. Divine timing. This is perfect. We are going to be making some changes. Changes are always good. And I always think it's interesting when people say, oh, you know, you have to change. Yes, but you can make changes in a very powerful, strong way, a strong structure to you, and make some positive changes. It's really important that you really step up for that. It's kind of like, I want to make some changes, and where do I want those changes to come in? Make sure that you're making the choice and not someone else making them for you. This is a really good time. Our next one is support. Our angels and guides. I love this picture. All of our angels and guides praying for us, wishing us well, moving energy for us, kind of moving things or obstacles out of our way. So this is really important to kind of keep track of. We are being supported as we're moving through this time frame, but make sure you're communicating with your angels and guides. It's most important that you're really kind of like, how do I make these changes? How do I make this go easier on my family? Or how do I make this time kind of balance between the two? I will say that one of the things that's most important is have a meditation. I will link down beneath a meditation of how to communicate with your angels and guides. That is a great one to kind of get everybody on the same page so that you are able to understand what's coming up, what's going to be, how it's going to work for you and your family. That's really important. And making sure that their angels and guides are on board as well is very important. Our last card, manifestation. When we make changes, when we make upgrades to ourselves, we open ourselves up to manifesting everything else. And there is no ultimate level. We're always constantly trying to be a better us, a better myself, a better you. That's the cool part, is to kind of keep moving in that energy and making yourself upgrade and make new choices. I made wrong choices at one point. Now I'm making better choices. And that's the best way to be with all of this, is to make some powerful choices yourself and not wait until everything else is kind of pushing you and you have to make choices. Make them beforehand. I thank you so much for joining me today. And I know that we'll be talking again soon.